Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter and welcome to my weekly episode. This is episode number 291 for December the 17th, 2024. We are only 8 sleeps away from Christmas Day. Yep, and to our big adventure to Georgia. So let's see what I've been working on in the meantime. And it's kind of hard to get started into maybe a new project or whatever when you're planning to, go to a retreat and you're packing up everything into little kit bags and whatnot for the retreat. But I did decide to start a new project, and this is it. It's not done yet. It is called Patriotic Table Topper. Although I am not doing it in a patriotic theme. You'll know what I mean a little later on in the episode when I show you the actual pattern for this. It is an in the hoop embroidery project, of course, and it will be a table topper for my round coffee table that's in my family room. And you have seen that table in some of my videos when I was showing my Christmas decorations and back around Canadian Thanksgiving when I showed you the table topper I made then for that table. And I liked the style and the size of it, if it's perfect on my coffee table. So I made another one that was a Christmas themed one that is currently on that table because it fits perfectly. And then I found this one, and it's the same style but different elements to it, as you'll see when I talk about the pattern. So yeah, I want to get this done before we go off for our Christmas time down in Georgia. So when I come home and take down all the Christmas decorations, and you know how things look really bare around your house after you've done that, this can go on that table. And as the year goes on, next year, I'll be looking for other ones of this style that I can swap out with maybe the seasons or whatever. Maybe I'll design my own. I think I probably could. Thought for the new year. Yeah, so these are some of the blocks, and I'm hoping to get, as I said, the rest of the blocks done and all sewn together and finished before we leave for Georgia. If I don't, it's no big deal. But, it'd be nice to come home to a finished project. And let's take a look up here. What else? I don't think, no, I've got something else to show you, but not right yet. That's all I've been working on. Like I said, I'm putting kits together. We have so much stuff for the back of our car. I am looking for scraps of space wherever I can tuck something in. And last year when we went down to Georgia, I used project boxes. And they were in a separate bag, and they took up a lot of room. So what I've decided to do this year is use baggies. And I've got all the pieces for the projects I want to work on. I have 3 projects. I won't get them all done, but I like to have it there for variety. If I get a little bored with one, I can move on to the other one. And I prepared baggies, which isn't anything new. Labeled them on the outside. I have all my pieces cut for what I need to do, all in that one baggie, along with the instructions. And rather than take the full pattern and print it out, especially I'm going to be working on the Barn Star sampler, and that one's a book. So I think I've got a couple of the blocks, the pieces for a couple of the blocks cut out. I have them labeled. I'm using my system with the clips in the alphabet on them, which, by the way, if you saw the unboxing from Chatty a week ago of the Santa sack from Quilting, I got those little sticker letters and numbers from GE Designs. They were in the bag, and at first I kind of poo-pawed them, but I'm using those now, and I absolutely love them. I got to get my hands on some more. So I don't know if the quilt store we'll go to down in Georgia carries something like that or not. I'll be looking for them. Otherwise, I'll have to probably, once the postal strike here in Canada is over or whatever, order them online or see if I can find them locally. I don't know. But I absolutely am loving those things. So I've done that. All these baggies, they'll all fit in my sewing bag, with my machine. And that will eke out a little bit more space. Still no space. I mean, no. It looks like we've taken everything except the kitchen sink down to Georgia. When we cross the border, I swear they're going to pull us over because they figure we're going to open up a store in the States and sell all kinds of stuff. Not the case, but yeah. So it's just, the back of Walter's car we always thought was fairly big, but we'll have the seats down in the back seat, thank goodness. And yeah, if he stops suddenly, it's going to look like a quilt shop blew up on the front window. So yeah, but we're excited about that. So that's what I've really been working on this past few days, is getting everything organized, getting bags within bags within bags, so that we can get them in every nook and cranny in the car. Yeah, that's my life lately. Okay, moving on. So Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. Yes, there is one this week. This Wednesday, December the 18th, starts at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Everybody's welcome. Links in the show notes. However, we are ending early. We're stopping at 2 p.m. We usually go to 4, but we're going to stop 2 hours early. Why is that, you may ask? Because Walter and I have hair appointments. For Walter, it's not so big a deal, but nothing comes between me and my hairdresser. Okay, and she had to schedule us on a Wednesday. I don't usually schedule my hair appointments on Wednesdays because of Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. But like all hairdressers this time of the year, everybody's getting their due done. So, had to take what I could get. And that's what we had to get. And Stephanie also said she's got a ton of things, as you can imagine, that she's got to get done. So, yeah, we're going to end it early. Now, the next one is not going to be until, I think, January the 8th. That's when we will be back. I have to check with Stephanie, though, because she has something else on after the retreat that she is going to. So I'm not sure if she's back home by then or not. If she is, fine and dandy, we will do it. If she's not, I may do it on my own, or we may just leave it for another week. So essentially, we're going for almost 3 weeks without a Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. Maybe a month. Sorry. But, distance makes the heart grow fonder. You'll just all be that much more excited to get back together and sew after the hubbub of the holidays. Yeah, that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so went up to Quilter's Cupboard, which is a local area quilt store, and picked up my Reindeer Games order. If you remember, they were running this 8 days of the Reindeer Games kind of a thing, and they had different products on sale each day. And I ordered from them a really large cutting mat because I had a Martelli. Well, I still have the Martelli, but I've had it for quite a few years now, and it's just wearing out. So I ordered one of those from them. It was on for a good price, and I'm talking like 36 inches by 60 inches. Okay, so it fills pretty much my whole cutting table. And I picked up a couple of other little items as well. So this is what I got. Let me put it up here for you. So the big gray thing, that is the cutting mat, and it is by Quilter Select, and it's double-sided, self-healing, and I love it. The markings on it are very clear, and the beauty of this is if I ever rotate the mat around, the numbers will be the right way from left to right. No problem. Martelli mat, no. Martelli mat had the numbers, they went from left to right on one edge, but when you flipped it around, turned it 180 degrees, they went the opposite way, which I found very awkward. Now, maybe that's for left-handed people. I don't know. But yeah, it was kind of stupid. Also, I noticed something else is very interesting. The Quilter Select mat is actually 2 inches longer and wider. Yeah, it's still a 36 by 60, but they have an extra margin on the end. On the Martelli mat, if you wanted to go from 1 to 60, to get 60 inches across, you had to put your fabric right to the very edge of the mat on both ends. In other words, their mats went from 1 to 59. I didn't think anything of it at the time using it, but when I get this one, yeah. And I'm just wondering now, I've never measured it. I don't use usually the lines on a mat to cut. Sometimes I do, but very rarely. I trust the rulers for that more so than the mat markings. But now I am wondering if the Martelli mat, if the markings were accurate. I need to measure them and find out. In fact, hang on for a second, and it'll be just a second. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, I just measured them on both mats actually. And nope, the Martelli mat is accurate, and so is the Quilter Select. But it just made me think, why did they design it that way? Um, I love that mat. I don't like most Martelli products. There, I've said it, and you're going to send me hate mail about it, but I do not like their products. I think it's a whole lot of hype over nothing. But that's just my opinion. Okay, if you do you. If it's working for you, you just go right ahead and use it. That's no problem. Um, but I'd heard a lot of good things about Quilter Select, and so far I am very pleased with it. So yeah. Now you can see on the mat here, I bought a couple of other things on the Reindeer Games sale, and I'll just show you these a little bit blown up. I bought a seam gauge. Did I need one? Not really, but this is a Nancy Zeman one, and I like the markings on it, and it's made of steel. How often will I use it? Probably not very often. I think in a lot of ways this is something that is more for people who sew clothes than it is for quilters. However, if you needed to make sure your sewing machine where your needle is located is, accurate for a 1/4 inch, it would be handy for that. And it wasn't a bad price. It wasn't a lot of money. It was on sale. So I thought I'd get one. And I did. And as I said, I don't know if I ever will use it, but I have it. The other thing I bought, and was more of an experiment, and it was this stuff called InvisiGrip. And basically, it is a plastic you put on the back of rulers to keep them from sliding around when you're cutting your fabric. That's not anything new. This has been around for a while, I think. But it was on sale. I thought I'd give it a try because I use Grippy. And at the time that I purchased this, I couldn't find my can of Grippy. Couldn't get a grip on it. I was at Ultimate Sewing, and I saw at the last minute, I was up at the cash register, they had cans of it, so I picked up a can of Grippy. I really like Grippy. If you don't know what Grippy is, it's a spray. And you just spray the back of your ruler, let it dry for about a minute, and yeah, it works like a charm. It does get a little cloudy on your rulers, but not so much that you can't see the markings clearly. And does it wear off? Well, I've had it on some of my rulers for quite a long time and haven't had any problems. Someone mentioned to me, did I find if it picked up lint and things like that? Not really. Not really. I mean, yeah, it's got the potential to do so, but I have no problem with that. And it's easy enough to reapply. It doesn't leave anything on your fabric or anything like that. So I really like Grippy. But I thought I'd give this a try. Now, I've tried those little discs, the little plastic discs, which essentially this is what this stuff is like. But it's a sheet. And so you take, you cut out a piece that's about a 1/4 inch smaller than the ruler you want to put it on, and you just lay it on it. It doesn't really have anything sticky on it. It's like a vinyl, like a thin vinyl kind of a thing. Not as thin as, say, something like saran wrap or something like that, but it's thicker than that. But, it's not as thick as, say, I don't know, vinyl you would use maybe in a bag. Although I could see, I may experiment, see if I could use this as, a clear window in a little pouch or something like that. But back to whether it works or not, it doesn't. Now, I tried the ruler on a piece of fabric in the way that I would normally cut without anything on the back of it. And of course, the ruler did slide a little bit. Then I put the InvisiGrip on it, and it still slid. Maybe a little less, but not enough to warrant the cost of this stuff. This stuff isn't that expensive. If you look up at the top, it's $14.49 a Canadian for, I think there's about a yard of it in there on the roll, and the roll is as wide as the canister you see it in. Then I thought, well, maybe I've applied it wrong, but both sides felt the same of the plastic. So I went on YouTube, as one does, and I took a look at how, instructions for putting it on. I went right to an OmniGrip, because they're the people that make it, instructional video. And nope, I did it right. So I suspected it wasn't going to be that great, but I wrote to Quilter's Cupboard to let them know. Now, I wasn't complaining about it, and it's not their fault, and I didn't ask for my money back or anything like that, and I told them that in email. I just thought, I don't know how often they have used the product. Maybe they had a tip or a trick for it that I didn't know about. And so, I told them what I essentially told you. It's not really worth the bother. And they wrote back to me and said, yeah, we agree. Okay, then why are you selling it? Maybe that's why it was on the Reindeer Games on sale. You're trying to get rid of your supply of it. Maybe you had a customer or two came in and said, oh, can you get some of this in or something like that? I don't know. Like, in my way of thinking, if the product is not to a certain standard that you expect that you have for your store, why sell it? But anyways, I have it, and I'm not going to throw it out, but like I said, I'm wondering if I could use it for a clear window in, say, a project pouch, or make something like that, because it seems like it might be heavy enough to be able to handle being sewn through. But I don't know. Time will tell. I have it. It doesn't work. Don't waste your money. In my opinion, get Grippy. Grippy works really well. Or, from what I hear, I don't own any, but and I should change that around and try it out. Quilter Select rulers are supposed to be grip fabric really, really well. I've heard really good things about that. Have yet to try it out myself. Because their rulers are expensive, and do I need another ruler? But anyways, so yeah, that's what I picked up at Corsa Quilting. Okay. And speaking of picking up things at quilt stores, I always get excited. Well, last year when we went down to Georgia for the Stephanie's retreat, she took us to a quilt store there, and they opened up special for the retreat people because they were on holidays, and that was really nice of them. But they made a lot of money that day. They certainly did from me, because I think I dropped close to $1,000. Yeah, in the store. I don't think I'll be doing that this year for a couple of reasons. One, I've got some very specific fabrics that I'm going to be looking for to see if they have. I have a ton of fabric, like all of us as quilters do. I need to start working through, and you've heard other people say this, working through my stash of fabrics. The other thing is the exchange rate. It might be a good price in American dollars, but by the time we translate it into Canadian dollars, it's 40% more. So, I might find fabric down there at $10 a yard, and their yards, not meters, so that's 3 inches smaller than what we get in Canada as well. So that contributes to the overall cost if you're buying multiple yards of fabric. But 40% more on $10 is $4. No, wait. $10, 40%. 10, that would be $1. Yeah. Makes $10 becomes $14 and up. So, and finding fabric even in the States at $10 a yard, I think is stretching it, unless it's a solid or something like that. So, gotta watch the pennies on this one, because it may sound like a good price when you see it at first, and then you have to remember, oops, American dollars, Canadian dollars, something different and more expensive. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be buying nearly as much as I bought last year. Mind you, having said that, I could have a weak moment and I want to buy the whole store. Okay, so I'm going to change the tone here to something a little bit more serious. On Stephen and Walter Live this past week, we talked about business practices, and specifically Missouri Star Quilt, because there has been, they just acquired another manufacturer of fabrics. There's been quite a buzz in the quilting community, especially amongst retailers, about this. Some fearful talk about what this might mean and the whole bit. So we did share our knowledge of what we knew about Missouri Star Quilt. We were not bashing Missouri Star Quilt, but it may have sounded like that. And upon reviewing what we said, I could see how some people could think that we were bashing Missouri Star Quilt. That was not our intent. So I want to explain this a little further, and in order to do it, to collect my thoughts, I made a little video the other day that I'm going to insert here for you explaining this. And because we did get some emails and some comments and things, and I know that it sounded like I was attacking our beloved Jenny Doan, and I was not. I was not. But here's what I have to say about that. On Sunday's Stephen and Walter Live, Walter and I discussed the changes in Missouri Star Quilt Company. They have acquired Kaufman Fabrics. You may or may not know that. And we also did some research into the background of their other acquisitions that we didn't know anything about, which are other businesses that deal with yarn and fabric and things like that and crafts. And that's all fine and dandy, but I think I may have come across with the idea that I was down on Missouri Star Quilt and on Jenny Doan herself and her family. I am not. They are a business. What they are doing is good business. Good business in the sense that, it makes their business grow. By acquiring other smaller businesses, it increases their profit margin. And isn't that why people are in business? So I've got nothing against that because that's how the business world works. Now, some people got upset with me because I mentioned the origins of the Missouri Star Quilt. And there were several people who said, no, it was her kids who started it and she's just the figurehead. Well, yes and no. I had a few of you reach out to me to tell me what you knew about the situation. Now, I based what I knew on Jenny's first book. I read the book, and basically what I remember from the book is that she started doing long arm quilting with a single machine in her garage for local people. And her kids did come to her and suggest to her that she start this as a business, and they encouraged her. But really, it wasn't, from what other things I have looked at, it wasn't totally the kids who started the business. It was Jenny and her husband. The kids were there to help, and the kids were there to inspire her as well. It is a family-owned business, and so everybody had a part in it as well. But I did want to make it clear that I am not down on how her business got started. I think she has done a remarkable job with that. Now, she would like to retire, so the stories that I've been reading go, and the kids are taking over. Now, I did mention that I thought maybe this was going to change the whole nature of the company, and oftentimes when another generation takes over a family business, it does. It does change the business. I did suggest that this could be a good thing or a bad thing. Time will tell. But I wanted to make it clear that there are a lot of conflicting stories out there depending on where you get your information, and that is the nature of how information gets to us because it comes through the internet for 99.9% of the time. And depending on who's doing the reporting and the source, it can change. Also, there is an interview with Jenny and her kids, and basically she gives a little bit more credit to the kids for getting her started. But it was a family effort, I believe, from what I can figure out from what I have read and researched on this. The bottom line is, I think people thought that I was taking down or insulting Jenny. And I know that part of Jenny's mystique, if you will, is the fact she comes across as a very kind person. And I don't doubt that she is at all. That was never something I was doubting. But people have been pulled in by Jenny, and that sounds negative, but what I mean is because she's such a nice person, we want to support their business. And many people have met Jenny in person at Missouri Star Quilt down in Hamilton, Missouri, and say she's absolutely lovely in person. And I don't doubt that. I have never met her, but she does send out that vibe. So, yeah, people were probably getting upset with the things that I said, but I want you to know it was not a personal attack on Jenny. And even if it had been, what would it matter? Jenny doesn't know me. She doesn't really care. When you're in business and you're in the public light, you do come under criticism. I know I come under criticism and I'm nobody. So, yeah, I just want to put this to rest before I get more comments and things that, people are upset with me because, I have taken a beloved personality in the quilting world and it sounds like I am trying to unnave her from the seam to the chops, and that is not my intent whatsoever. I was looking at it totally from a consumer point of view, dealing with a business that is growing. And my opinion is that when a business starts to grow, really grow huge, acquires other companies as well, there is bound to be a change, and that change is not always necessarily in the favor of the consumer. And I think most people can agree with that because there are many examples of exactly that situation. So rest assured, I still like Jenny. I still like Missouri Star Quilt, and I hope to one day actually go to Hamilton, Missouri, and see it all for myself and in person. And if that day ever comes up, you can bet I'll be videoing it and putting it up here on the Idiot Quilter. So I hope that's cleared everything up for you about our stand on that. And if it hasn't, forget it. Let's leave it, shall we? And move on. It's not going to change the price of rice in China, as the saying goes. Okay, moving on. So Chatty, in this past week, we did a Santa sack unbagging. That was from Quilter Quilting. And I think they outdid themselves this year. I really do. This is the third year that I've gotten their Santa sack, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And if I do dare say so, I think I liked it better than the Missouri Star Quilt Christmas box. That does not mean I will not be getting the Missouri Star Quilt box next year. I will most definitely will be because I enjoy unboxing it with Stephanie. We have a lot of fun with that, and I think I got my money's worth, even though I had to pay a lot more for it than Stephanie did because of the Canadian exchange rate on the American dollar. But nevertheless, I still think I got my money's worth, just in fun alone. But here's what the difference is between Missouri Star Quilt box, in my opinion, and in the Santa sack. The Missouri Star box tends to be a little bit more geared towards the ladies, which, okay, that I'd expect that, right? Because men in quilting are still a minority, yeah. And they really focused on the cutesy. If you notice in our videos, in our unboxings, the word cute comes up quite a bit. On the other hand, the Santa sack from Quilter Quilting tended to be a little bit more gender neutral. And the items in it, many of them were very practical. Yes, there was a cute element to some of the items, but most of them, I said, I could use that rather than have it sit on a shelf somewhere. So I think that was the basic difference. And I like that. I like getting things that I can use. I don't need a lot of cute little items to decorate my sewing room with. Now, if you like that kind of thing because it's your happy place and it makes you happy to look at them, that's okay. That's all right. I mean, I have a few things in my sewing room that are like that too. So, I'm not bashing the Missouri Star quilting box. And you heard my opinion and Stephanie's on everything that we've opened up so far that you have seen. So, yeah, but I just definitely think that the Quilter Santa sack was, one, worth the money, and two, I really think there was a lot of thought towards practicality put into that. I think there was a lot of thought put into the Missouri Star Quilt box as well, with it. And as I said, I mean, they're just both from different companies. So they are going to have a little different flavor. But anyways, we got that opened up, and I hope you enjoyed that video. And if you haven't seen that video yet, go take a look at it, and you'll see what I'm saying, hopefully. Okay, update about Hope Air Quilt. Don't know. It's like they've dropped off the face of the planet in terms of me. I have no idea. I don't know what they want to do with the quilt. They have not contacted me. It's been going on to almost 2 weeks now since the draw was made. I know nothing. Sorry. I'm really sorry. I feel really bad that if you bought a ticket, that I can't give you any more information about that. So I guess what I should do is reach out to them. But I'm busy. And I don't be sitting around waiting for a reply from them. And to be really honest, I'm afraid that if I do, they're going to turn around and throw everything in my face and say, well, you need to do this and you need to do that, which is none of the things they told me at the beginning of it. So I'm just letting sleeping dogs lie for now. It's not really my responsibility. I offered them the quilt. They're the ones that put it up as a raffle. They were taking it over. So it's up to them. Really, the ball's in their court, and it's not in mine. And even if the ball was in my court, there's not much I can do about it. So, yeah, sorry about that. Maybe I'll hear something this week. If I do, I'll let you know on one of the other videos we make. Okay, so speaking of the Missouri Star Quilt box, days 11 to 16 are now live. Days 11 to 15 are now live, and there's a link for it in the show notes below. The next series of unboxing days will come up on December the 20th. So when's that? December 20th, this Friday, coming up. And then the last one on December 25th. And if you missed some of the other ones, previous ones, the links are all in the show notes for those too. And this coming Thursday, the Sewcial Christmas edition. We haven't done one of these in a while, and that's where Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches, Russ of Quilt Meets World, and Walter and I of the Idiot Quilter, all of us will be getting together. And this time what we're going to talk about is we each picked 3 of our frequently go-to YouTube channels to talk about. Some have to do with sewing or quilting, some don't. So you're going to get a variety here. And all the things we talk about will be linked in the show notes below. And this is on December the 19th at 7 p.m. And when I said linked in the show notes below, not my show notes, sorry. In the show notes for the rebroadcast of the Sewcial. If you want to join us, it is a YouTube Live. It's Thursday, December the 19th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's on Stephanie's channel. And the thumbnail is already up on YouTube, so easy enough to get to. But I do have a link to it in my show notes below as well. Okay, I think that's all the news and views and whatnot that you need to know. So let's go to Subscribers Quilt of the Week, and this comes from Cheryl Mulder. This week's quilt from a subscriber comes from Cheryl Mulder, and she sends this beautiful creation along, and this is what she has to say about it. I created this quilt a few years ago in an effort to use up a lot of unusual neutral fabrics. The bright churn dash blocks were quick and easy to make. I still have lots of neutrals. Laugh out loud. Well, yeah, this is stunning. It slaps you right in the face, and in a good way. And the colors are wonderful. And you say that you used unusual fabrics in it. And if you look at it closely, you can see what Cheryl means. But it all works very well together. So it is a lovely creation. It looks like it's a really good size as well. And as Cheryl said, making the blocks was pretty fast. And the overall effect, really stunning. So thank you, Cheryl, for showing us this beautiful creation. And I'm running out of quilts. I think I've got enough to take me to the end of the year to show, but I need some more. So if you've got something you would like me to show, please send me one picture of it, a little blurb about it, 50 words or less, and I would be happy to feature it here on an upcoming episode of The Idiot Quilter. Okay, YouTube of the week. Now, this is a person that Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches put me onto. She has been in communication with this lady. She says very nice things about her. And so if Stephanie says very nice things, you know it must be good. And I've decided to take a look at her YouTube channel, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it here. It's called Charisma's Corner. This week's YouTube video clip of the week is not a video clip, it's a whole YouTube channel which I just discovered through my friend Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches. And it's called Charisma's Corner. And this is a relatively new YouTube channel, at least new to me. And so let's take a look at it and explore it together, shall we? So she is a quilter and she puts up lots of videos. She's got 149 videos right now. And it looks like she does a lot of blocks of the month. She does things with fat quarters, some very interesting designs. This one with the little pink homestead, I think this is her own design because I do believe she is a pattern creator, designer, and she shows you how to do this. And it looks really interesting because look at all the little pieces and things that are in it, the different blocks. So it's sort of like a sampler, but a little bit more than just a sampler. So she has lots about that. Looks like she has a relationship with Rob Appel, and we all know who Rob Appel is. And it looks like she does a whole series of videos on various block designs, quilt designs. So they are sort of solo, I guess, in one sense. But there's a lot here. So I think there's a lot of inspiration in what she is doing. I do believe she has some lives as well, and she does. It looks like, I'm not sure how often she does these, but this will help you to get to know her a little bit more. And I'm not absolutely sure what the content is of her lives. I haven't really checked that out in detail, but I probably should. So yeah, I always like to support up and coming new creators that I find on YouTube, and this is one of them. She has 6,000 subscribers, so she's on her way here. So you can help her out, check her out, and maybe subscribe to her channel as well. That's Charisma's Corner. So that takes me to future projects, and you've already seen parts of it. That's the patriotic, it's called the Patriotic Tabletopper. It's Designs by Juju in the Hoop project, machine embroidery project. And you've seen bits and pieces earlier in this episode, and now here's what it looks like. This is the whole pattern. This week's future project is another In the Hoop project, and it's by Designs by Juju, and it's called the ITH Patriotic Table Topper. And although this has a very American theme to it, I think if I do it in Canadian fabrics like the old Canada line, it could look really quite stunning. This is something I want to create, this particular style, for my coffee table in my family room. I have already made 2 table toppers that are in this style, and they fit beautifully on my coffee table, and that's why I want to do another one, because I have a Halloween one or a fall one, and I have a Christmas one which is currently on the table. So now I want something that I can put out there for, you know, the greater part of the year, and if not for the rest of the year, depending on how I select my fabrics, it could be my own patriotic table topper, Canadian style. So you can see that at the time that I purchased it, it was on for half price, $10 US, which is really good price, but even the regular price is not that bad at $20. It comes in a variety of sizes, and of course it is all done in your embroidery machine, with the exception of putting the tiles together. Each of those will have to be sewn together on your regular sewing machine, but it is not difficult to do. And I've done many of these kind of things before and always have great results. So if you're looking for a table topper that'll fit especially a round coffee table, this one is the design for you. So as I said, I'm hoping to get that done this week. And I'm almost there. You can see it just behind me on the wall. A couple of more pieces done that were not on, I didn't show you in the picture earlier because I took that picture before I got those other pieces done. So it's coming along. I think it's going to look quite nice. All right. Let's go to what I am working on here. And of course, I mentioned it's retreat prep and Christmas bags and things like that. So here it is. So what have I been working on this week? Well, I've been doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I'm getting ready for the retreat in Georgia. We leave Christmas Day for that, Walter and I. And so you can see up here, I've been working on the Barn Star Sampler, which are the big stars in the background. They take a while, those big stars, and I thought I was ahead of the game now, but looked at the pattern, and I have another couple of really large ones that look like a sort of a mariner's compass kind of block to do. So I'll just keep working on this. This is going to be a project that's not going to be finished until sometime in the new year, but that's okay. And the little blue stars, well, those are kind of part of a pattern I'm working on and developing, so I'm not going to say anything more about that. Let's come around here to my cutting table, and you'll see I have a couple of baskets. This basket has what I'm working on and developing as my new pattern, which will come out sometime in the early part of 2025, and it will be free. It'll be on my website, but I'll give you lots of information about that when the time comes. In this little basket here, I have got a lot of things prepared. The idea here is I'll probably be working on this before we go on the retreat, but I may be taking this down with me. And this is the pattern. Where's the pattern? Here it is. That came in my Missouri Star box. Just finding the front page of it. It is this. And I love quilts with little houses on them. And it came with a panel, and you've probably already seen this one. I forget what day it was, but it was early, so it's already been revealed, at least on Stephanie's and Stephanie Stitches in my channel. So I'm not giving away, no spoilers here about this. But yeah, this is a small wall hanging. It's about 30 by 30, I think. No, 39 by 39. You could develop it into a full-size quilt, and I might. I don't know. But right now, I'm just cutting the fabric, and I'm trying to put it together in bits and like in little groupings for making the houses. And I'm just cutting out the background fabrics. Now, for all of this, this was the panel that came with it, with the doors. More doors than you need for this. So this is what I'm going to use for the trees, because that's part of it. You can see that here. Get the glare off on the pattern. And these pieces I am cutting for the center square, they call it, in that. So I think that'll look kind of nice when I get that done. So that I'm working on as I'm making this video. And I'm going to cut up other fabric and things for my other kits that I want to take down with me to Dahlonega. I always take too much. But there's my little pile of future projects over there. So yeah, I put them all in their own little basket. And this I'm really pleased with. If you saw on Friday, So Chatty, we opened up the Quilter Quilts Santa sack. And in there were these labels. And at first, I wasn't that impressed, but now I really am. And this is them right here. And they're numbers and letters and measurements, and there's 3 sheets of these. And you'll know from a previous video that I put together, I wanted some of those, I don't know what you call them, alphabeties or things like that, but they're quite expensive, you know, for clipping your fabrics together when you have them cut, to keep them organized and everything according to your pattern. So I made my own little alphabeties using these clips, and I just used a Sharpie. Well, those are meant to do the same thing, the stickers. And so at first I thought, yeah, really? But no, I quite like them. And as you can see, I have these 3D printed little baskets for keeping everything organized. And I have ones down here because these are the some that, so you can clip them onto, you got 1.5 inch squares or something like that. That's really quite convenient as well. And it all sits here, and this is how I keep them all organized. And there was a little room in the bottom of the tray, so I thought I'd put in my 3D printed owl pincushion that I made some time ago, quite a long time ago, actually. One of the early things I 3D printed. So that's all organized. But let me take you on a little trip into the Christmas room. Let's call it that. And I better turn on some lights so you can see what I'm talking about here. So we've got some things under the tree. None of these things are for me or for Walter. They're for other people. On this side, these are gifts for families, and my nephews, my nieces, and my sister and her husband, my brother-in-law. Little bag down here that I made for my hairdresser. Walter's and my hairdresser. We still have to go out and get a couple of wine bottles or bottles of wine to put in the bag because I made a matching wine tote, and it's inside right now in there. And then these are bags for all the ladies at Ultimate Sewing, my local quilt store. And they're all done up now, and everything's in those. I don't want to show you what's in them because they probably watch my channel, or some of them do. And, I don't want to give away the surprise. So yeah, I've been busy with that. Now there's a Canadian Tire bag back there. And that is, I will talk about that on a future video. What's in that, because that involves something that I'm kind of keeping a bit of a secret as well. So you will hear about that, but later on, not in this week's vlog. So yeah, I've been a busy little beaver getting all my little Christmas things all together. And yeah, so that's what I've been working on this week. Now, today I have an interview. I haven't done an interview in a long time. That's going live probably right after I get this video up. And this is with a really interesting person. I was holding back. I want to say character, but he is a character. And I mean that in a positive sense. His name is Cornelius Quiring, say it right. Very unusual name and easy to remember in some ways. And I did an interview with him, and it goes up live to the channel. It isn't live, it's pre-recorded today, shortly actually. And it's worth the watch. And so anyways, here's a little teaser about that. Why the cowboy hat?
Good question. It's growing up in a Mennonite community, and as a Mennonite, we're the only ones who make this distinction. There's a difference between Amish and Mennonite. The folks that I'm sure you have met are most likely Amish folks, and Mennonites tend to be whatever, doesn't matter. I'm nitpicking on differences here. From the outside, we're the same thing. But growing up, I was part of my lineage goes back to Mexico. The Mennonites that went from Russia to Canada to Mexico in the 1920s. And from there, they emigrated to Paraguay, where I was born. And now I'm back in Canada. But the ones that went to Mexico in the 20s very much picked up. We pick up a lot from where we've been. So we have some Russian words, those sorts of things. We have a lot of Mexican words, Spanish, should I say. But we also picked up a bit of that cowboy culture while there. And so growing up, the grown men wore cowboy hats. The boys couldn't have them. And so I just thought they were the coolest thing ever. Eventually we left the community, and I was in my, when I was out, had left the community by the time I was in my teens and sort of left it behind. And now as I've gone into my adulthood, again, full circle sort of thing, I remember things like, wait, cowboy hats are cool. Like I thought they were cool then. Surely they must still be cool now. And so I just got one because I wanted one. It's like, let me get that cowboy hat that young Cornelius couldn't have. I bought it, put it on, and it just felt right. It's like, oh yeah, this is it. This is my style. And so I've just worn it since then. in my video specifically as well, because part of content creation is also sort of creating your own brand
Yes.
identity markers. And there's not a lot of people wearing cowboy hats, I'll be honest. And so that sort of also there's a branding element to it, part of why I wear it. But it just feels right. I like the way it looks. It's fun.
So I hope you'll check out the video and support his channel because he is really, really a great sewist and great ideas and tips as well. Okay, so let's go on to the online quilt store this week, and this one's called Lori's Quilting Shop. This week's online quilt store is called Lori's Quilting Shop, and I think this is a relatively new one, and I think they may have bought out at least another quilt shop in the Ottawa area. I could be wrong about that, or they bought out their supply of glide threads or something. I'm not sure how that works, but let's take a look at what they have to offer on their website. So here's their front page, and they have their contact number, and they're showing some featured products. They are selling a Magna Glide Classic M box of 100 white bobbins. They have glide thread, as I said, and something about their shop. And I'm assuming this picture is taken in their shop, but again, I am not sure where their shop is located, their brick and mortar store. I haven't been able to find that on here yet. Maybe they don't have one. I'm not really sure. Okay, so their front page looks very professional. And let's look at, it says shop now. Now, I am not sure, but I think they only sell thread. Glide thread. I don't think they sell fabric, so that's interesting. So here you go, you can get the color guide. So for those of you that are into machine embroidery, or if you have a long arm, I use glide thread on my long arm and I love it. And they seem to have quite a good selection. $16.50 a spool for the 5,000 meter. That price is pretty good, because I think at where I sometimes buy ones that big, it's closer to about $18 or so. So that's a fairly good price. So kudos for that. Yeah, and they've got 14 pages, so they've got all the colors. Well, they say explore a large selection of glide thread, perfect for creating professional quality quilts. Available in vibrant colors, designed for smooth performance. Glide thread is a must-have for long arm quilting, free motion quilting, and more. And as I said, you can use glide in your machine embroidery machine too. Okay, so they have that, and let's see, Primo Soft. I'm not sure what that is, but they tell you it's made by Glide. I have never heard of this. And they do have matching bobbins, 1990 Canadian for a jar of 10. That's within the usual price range, I would say. Now this thread looks like it's a little more expensive at $22, and I am not sure how big a spool is. Let's see. It's number 50 weight. The large spool option is perfect, 2,750 meters. So I'm assuming that's the size of that. So that's expensive. I think it's expensive, but it's a specialty thread, and that may be what is the going price. I don't know. I have never used it. They have Glide Thread 60, which I would imagine is 60 weight, $17 in the ballpark for that. And Magna Glide Delight. And these are all the bobbins as well. And I have some of those bobbins, and they work fine in my long arm machine. And yeah, that's about the average price. I am not going to rate this site as I usually do because I didn't realize when I first went on here that they only sell thread. Now they have something called DIY kits. Um, I guess for making these kind of things. Looks like a lot of fat quarters. Um, how to quilt it, quilt your own cupcake. I'm really not sure. Quilt your own cupcake pattern, fabric ruler, and zipper included. Okay, so if you wanted something a little bit different, I guess this might be something to consider. Yeah, they do commission quilts. Um, oh, so they'll make these quilts for you. So it looks like memory quilts, t-shirt quilts. And they've got their price on what it would cost you. That seems to be a very reasonable price for making a quilt. So does that include, this one's for from a loved one's clothes, deposit only. Oh, okay, $150 deposit. So how it works, why can't I get this to go down? Oh, there we go. Okay. You provide the clothing, you have a design consultation, your quilt be expertly pieced and quilted using high quality material, enjoy your keepsake, deposits $150, sizes and prices, see our pricing table below for various sizes options, quilt features, so pricing, so deposit of 150, but it's going, if you want a baby, 350, a lap, 400, large lap throw, 500, throw for two, 625, a twin, 725, and for an extra large twin, 750, full, 875, long full, 975, queen, 975. Not inexpensive, but we know how much work goes into a quilt. These are custom made. So I think this is more of an option for people who don't quilt and they want to give a gift. They also do tote bags, quilted custom tote bags. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I haven't seen anything in my exploration of quilt shops that do this kind of thing. Their FAQs, they talk about glide thread, how to wind it, what's popular color, and their shipping policy is down here at the bottom. So let's see. Rates are within Canada. They don't really tell you how much it's going to cost you. Now, right now, of course, we are having a postal strike here in Canada. So they do, though there was something came up that said that they will do alternative methods for shipping it to you. Okay, we don't know how much it's costs. And I'm thinking this one might be a viable one for me to buy some of my glide threads from. Okay, so I'm really not sure how much it costs for things to be shipped. So I guess you find that out at the time of checkout. So if you're looking for glide thread, this might be someplace for you to go to. The prices are reasonable. As I said, I'm not going to rate them because I save that for rating on a regular quilt shop online that sells fabric. But anyways, definitely a good selection of glide threads if you're into glide thread. So that's Lori's Quilt Shop. Check it out. So that brings me to the end of this episode of The Idiot Quilter, and I hope that you will join us for Stephanie and Steven's Sew Day Wednesday this week, if you can, and I hope you can join us for the Sewcial review as well. That should be a hoot and a half as well. So in the meantime, have a great week. I know you're probably busy getting ready for Christmas because it's like 8 days away. So it's coming on fast. The crunch is on. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.